What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday evening to everybody. Everybody, maybe hanging around Atlanta or just all over, man. Happy Sunday to everyone. Man, it started out as a very ugly day here, uninspiring day. But it cleared up, man. The sun came out, turned into a beautiful day. Yeah, as the sun goes down right now, looking out, man. Beautiful sunset. Watching the Braves here on Sunday Night Baseball, man. Looking to officially claim ownership over the state of Texas. The Braves have been hot. They have swept the Astros earlier this week, and the past two nights, man, they have just taken care of the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers, and tonight, right now, going for the sweep currently, top of the fourth, one out. Rangers do have first and second covered on base, but the Braves currently do lead 3-1 with Darius Vines on the mound. But it is draft week. It is officially draft week, ladies and gentlemen. After weeks, months really of anticipation about this Atlanta Falcons draft. Where are we going to go? From the moment we knew we were once again locked into that number 8 pick, where are we going to go? And obviously it was, okay, well, who are we going to hire as coach? We hired Raheem Morris. Then how are we going to go attack free agency? How are we going to address the quarterback position? We gave Kirk Cousins $180 million. So now, ever since that, really, the big question has been, what do you do with this draft pick? Where are you going in the NFL draft with the Atlanta Falcons? What is going to be the pick? And really, what is the strategy heading into the draft? And, after, putting obviously the board together, all the anticipation of it, now, this is it. It is draft week. That board is getting locked in. And Thursday night is the big night. Thursday night, we're going to see what card Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris, have been putting together. And as far as, draft night does go, I do know that the Falcons are having a draft party at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but I do believe it is only for season ticket holders. Now, I know some season ticket holders, so if, maybe I wanted to get a hold of, some tickets, I did, and oh, shit, that's a stinger. But Rangers just hit a home run, so yeah, man, that certainly is a singer. But hey, Braves still very much, far from over. But damn, but I'll probably be it for Vines, what I'm estimating. It was trying to get in with some changeup or slider. Anyways, they're going to keep Vines out there, but yeah, man, back to the draft. It's if I really wanted to, I probably could, get tickets to the draft party, but at this point in time, I probably anticipate I will be at home watching the draft, and I will somehow be live for it. Most likely with my man Blake Newsome. Now, how we're going to do it, me and him have to talk about that. We might go over and do it on a Twitter space. We might live stream. We might multi-stream it on YouTube and Twitter. We're going to have to get that all talked about. I will also, here's another thing too. I would probably say Wednesday night, I will be coming on here and doing a full, not just for the Falcons, but a full mock draft of probably a 2-round mock draft of how I think the NFL draft is going to pan out. So yeah, man, it is draft week. It's about to get very busy around here, and obviously, the Thursday is the big night. Friday rounds 2 and 3, and then Saturday rounds 4 to 7. So it is a weekend, full of the NFL draft. Anyways, obviously with it being draft week, you know, the big talk has obviously been about what are the Falcons going to do at the number 8 pick. And the one thing that, we've been hearing, it's finally going to be an edge rusher. After, the first few years of Terry Fontenot picking Kyle Pitts, which I think we have to note this out. In 2021, when we're talking about having a picture, at this point in time where we stand, literally 4 days out, 4 days from right now, the NFL draft will be getting underway. The Chicago Bears will be on the clock. They know they're taking Caleb Williams, but obviously the NFL, they're going to want all their, ad revenue and stuff. So they're going to have to, they're going to try to waste as much time as possible. But we know the Chicago Bears are picking, so we can really, move on with it. But anyways, the big question has been, well, what is it looking like? Well, I'm going to go ahead and point this out. In 2021, I knew for about a solid 2 weeks, and I was pretty confident, the pick was going to be Kyle Pitts. And the reason I say that is because everything that we were hearing from Terry Fontenot, best player available. We're going to go for the best player available. We're going to go because we're trying to win now. We're going to go for the guy that can impact our team right now. We all knew that, that most likely was not going to be a quarterback. We knew quarterback was going 1, 2, 3 in 2021. So we were really going to get our first crack at who we saw as the best player available. And at that time, it was clearly Kyle Pitts. He was labeled a generational tight end. He was, labeled this can't miss blue chip prospect. Arthur Smith was obviously a tight end guy. Matt Ryan was still here as quarterback. And we still at the time had Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. So it's, man, look, we need defense. But at least we don't really see this as a big defensive heavy draft at the top. Let's go ahead. Let's pick Kyle Pitts. Let's try to compete this year, with all these weapons. But ultimately, as we know, Julio about a month later would get traded. And then Calvin Ridley will quit on the team midway through that season. 2022. We just, had gotten rid of Matt Ryan. And, I don't know if that shifted our philosophy a whole lot in the draft. I still think maybe we could have taken a wide receiver there just because, listen, Ridley had left. Julio had left. And I show Kirko right now. Would you look at that? Shit, I might have to I'm going to say Kirk Cousins is going to join the booth here coming up, so let's see, have to turn on closed captionings here with this thing, man. Get a little taste of what Kirko is saying here, man. But anyways, we're still going to definitely go on with the stream, man, obviously. But, QB1's getting ready to speak, so, that definitely is important. But in 2022, we had just traded Matt Ryan. And at the time, it definitely was a question of, do we go defense? Because there really isn't a quarterback that you can confidently say is high enough to go number 8. It was the first of 3 straight years, including this one, we were picking at number 8. So it was what it looks like we're gonna, I was honestly kind of had an idea we were gonna pick a wide receiver. I didn't know if it was gonna be Drake London or not, but I kind of had a feeling it was going to be a wide receiver. And then last year was definitely the year you thought that ultimately you have to go defense. You went out, you've went offense 2 straight years. You've already built up the defense. Let's go out. Let's get that one last guy, that can really take this defense over the edge. Be that a Jalen Carter or a Tyrese Wilson or whoever. Let's go and let's do it. We ended up taking Bijan. Now, the thing is, even though initially when he was picked, I was not a fan of it, quickly grew on me. We did hear a lot that the Falcons and Terry Fontenot were definitely interested in Justin Fields. They were very much so not Justin Fields, Bijan. They were very much attracted to Bijan Robinson. They loved what they heard from him. They loved how he handled himself. They loved the player he could be. And that's why he was the pick. And this year, the name that, we're hearing a lot commonly is Alabama edge rusher Dallas Turner. That is the name you see many people mocking to the Falcons. Now, let me go ahead and say, I am much with them. I would love to see Dallas Turner here. I think he is the best edge rusher in this class. I think, seeing what he did at Alabama, seeing the versatility with him, he I think can fit into he fits right into this defense. He can drop back. He can truly, and I truly honestly feel like when you look at this draft, and we're going to get into this Wednesday, I'm also going to run a mock draft or two here in a minute. But when you look at it, Dallas Turner, you're going to have your pick at the first defensive player on the board, because quarterback's going 1, 2, 3, and I think Arizona's trading out of that 4. So I think quarterback goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I then think the Chargers, they're going to go either with Marvin Harrison Jr., which I most likely think they will, or maybe they go O-lineman. I think the Chargers most likely go receiver. I think the Giants at that point, they probably go either wide receiver or O-lineman. And I think Tennessee is probably going to go O-lineman, or maybe Brock Bowers. So obviously anything can happen, but you're at the point where with the Falcons where, man, you're gonna get the first crack at who you see as the best defensive player. And if you really look at, the draft, you at the top of the draft with the defensive players, it really is. It's the edge rushers, and you have a few corners up there, and you have the kid Byron Murphy from Texas. And that's a name you've been hearing a lot. However, man, I could definitely see why I like him, but not at number 8. Not at number 8. Kirk's in the booth right now. Let me try to get this. The new quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons wearing your Atlanta Braves jersey. Thanks for being with us. There we go. There we go. But anyways, we do have Kirk on. Hopefully I don't get taken down for this. Last time I did this, I couldn't stream for a couple of years. So hopefully they don't pick up the audio or anything like that. But anyways, it's just hard for me to see Byron Murphy being a pick at 8. If they trade back, okay, which I definitely still think is in the cards, because I think you have to look at this from the perspective of that, you have to listen to those phone calls. You have to also see where the board falls to that point. You don't know what's going to happen. There could definitely be a wrench thrown in there. As I say, I think quarterback goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe not. Maybe someone even like AJ McCarthy slips to number 8, and then you have Minnesota calling, and they're offering up those 2 first-round picks potentially because they're not the only team calling, so you're definitely in that type of situation where that number 8 pick, depending on how the draft falls, could definitely be a big-time luxury pick for you to move back a few spots and accumulate more draft capital. You could also potentially maybe see a scenario where, maybe the Falcons, decide we're not going to go edge rusher, or, maybe because you also have to keep this in mind. There is legitimately an argument for the Falcons to go edge rusher, but to also go with a DB and to go with a wide receiver. You have to think about this. Terry Fontenot's DNA so far with that first-round pick, best player available. And if a Roma Dunze is there, if someone like, or if they really like a Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo, you don't know what this is, how this could fall. You really don't know how this falls, because we don't, as I said last week, you don't know what their board looks like. Only they know what their board looks like. So ultimately, when we're talking, about these mock drafts, when we're talking about, where, all this can fall, only they really know, and only the 31 other teams, their GMs, their head coaches, their scouts, know where they at these players' position. And that's why we see guys fall every year, because these scouts discover stuff that us as fans don't know about. Or, we might be like, let's take a lot two, for example. We might, see his neck issue as, yes, it happened, but we're not too concerned about it. Whereas we don't know what his exact physical looks like. These teams might be getting it, might be saying, oh no. We don't know if we can take a flyer on this guy in the first round, especially high. Which is why I do think that with the Falcons, that could be the case. Now, granted, a couple years ago, Drake London, he had an injury at USC that ended his season, I want to say. They still took him. So, yes, I don't think that concerns Terry too much. Another thing you do have to keep in mind with Latu, and listen, I'm a Dallas Turner guy, but the thing with Latu is Jimmy Lake was his head coach. And y'all got to keep this stuff in mind. And Jimmy Blake's going to be the one calling the defense. So it's really to him. He's going to be the guy that they're definitely going to turn to when it comes to edge rusher, which is why I could see Latu. Whereas, at first I was really, kind of just shutting down the idea of Latu. Now, can't lie, I could see it happening. And I don't know if 8 is the right pick for it to happen at. But we also have to keep in mind, best player available is who's the best player on their board. Was Drake London the best wide receiver 2 years ago, by many people's metrics? No, people like Garrett Wilson, some had Jamison Williams. No one saw Drake London as, the top wide receiver. Not many, at least, saw him as the top wide receiver. He was the first receiver off the board because he fit what they did. He was, he was the best fit. He checked all the boxes ultimately. He was the most, well-rounded for Terry Fontenot and company. And this time around, that could be what's the case. Yes, we're going to finally, because I think that even though, yes, anything is a possibility, if you were to take, let's say Roma Dunze is there, and you take Roma Dunze, you make this offense virtually unstoppable at this point. The man who is in the booth right now, Kirk Cousins, he's just cheesing up because every single time there's gonna be a mismatch out there. There is, but it's just not what is best for the team because you went and picked up a bunch of wide receivers. So it doesn't make sense to me to ultimately go and just draft another one. However, if they do, I'm not going to be shocked by it because you got to think from many different standpoints. The only thing that I think would really upset me with the number 8 pick is if we went out and we drafted someone like Michael Penix with it. Because that to me would then be, and yes, I understand they'd be having him say, they have a plan with him. But that to me is then just like you went and picked up Kirk Cousins for many reasons. But one of them so that you didn't have to go into this draft playing with, trying to get a quarterback and you still go and get one anyway when you really look at it. And you don't know what impact Dallas Turner or Laiatu Latu or a Jared Verse. I haven't talked about Jared Verse much just because to me, and Jared Verse I think is a good player. Many have said maybe he's the most solid pass rusher with, the highest floor. However, to me, I don't know where he fits in this defense. Whereas I feel like a Dallas Turner, there's a good prime role for him. There is a good prime role for Laiatu Latu. But I don't know where that role is for a guy like Jared Verse. So when I'm really looking at that, that is what I think you have to consider. However, there is a lot of moving pieces. That is one of the things to keep in mind. There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of moving pieces. With that entire scenario. You got to look at that arm real quick. It looks good. Arm looks good. Looks like he's ready to get back out there with those boys and cause some trouble. But yeah, I am gonna go ahead and do a mock draft scenario here. I'll probably run 2. Go ahead and see what you know what actually. Let me see what's going on. What's going on, man? Go ahead and do this for once. I'm gonna go ahead and should mix some things up here. And I'm actually gonna you see, should I do this? I really feel like maybe you know what, nah, because I don't got all the time of the world here, man. I was maybe thinking about doing it. I do want to, get back to watching the Braves, man. So I'll just probably go ahead and do it solo. So yeah. Damn. You talk about fucking firing all was a bullshit. Look, and they got Jane Daniels going number 1. JJ McCarthy is there. Damn. All right. Let's go ahead, take a look here. We got Jane Daniels went number 1. Caleb Williams number 2. Malik Neighbors, number 3. Marvin Harrison, 4. Terrion Arnold, man, what is wrong with this? Drake, man, you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. And Fashanu goes to Tennessee. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and, even though, you do have a scenario where maybe we do one with Joe Walt, I'm going to go ahead, take Turner here. JJ goes to Minnesota. And the Chiefs trade up and take Brian Thomas out of LSU. Damn it. Harris ran the wall there. The Patriots straight up to get Bo Nix. Damn. Michael Penix goes to the Broncos. All right. We can go ahead and say, yeah, we ain't doing that. Nah. All right. So here we are. Second round, man. Making some decisions here. We got some decisions to be made. So we took Dallas Turner. Now, do we go, maybe with someone like, maybe we go corner. Maybe we go with a D tackle. Maybe do we double down at edge rusher? Do we? I mean, there's many places we could go here. But I'm going to go ahead and stick to my guns. I feel like that second round pick is going to be a DB. And I think even though, this looks like many mock drafts I have done. But ultimately, man, I got to just, it's really, this is what I can see happening. I could really see, I think Max Melton's one of those guys that I definitely think could, fit in with what we want to do. All right, so let's see. Now, go ahead and say Ricky Pearsall is definitely a guy that has been growing on me, as I have seen this guy, and I could definitely see this being a type of guy that, they would definitely be intrigued by having on this team, Zach Robinson getting the opportunity to work with a guy like this. I mean, this guy's a good talent, especially as I have seen him. And obviously, in LA, they like their white boys. They got Cooper Kupp, they got Puka. So, man, I think I'm going to go ahead and take Ricky Pearsall here, man. I think, they did say they would add to the wide receiver room. So I definitely think you go ahead. You do that right there. Let's see. Maybe look at some of the safeties. Maybe go look at an offensive tackle. I definitely think Rosengarten could be a guy that I've taken in past mock drafts. I'm going to go ahead and do it here again. Because I'm going to go ahead and probably say this is probably honestly what I could see happening. This is, really a scenario that I think could be most likely. So they finally pulled Vines. Dylan Lee now in there. All right, let's go back to the defense here. Take a look at some of the guys. This is maybe finally where we go ahead and, maybe go. I think this is really where maybe you start to go and look at a potential replacement for Grady Jarrett. And I feel like there's several guys that can do it. And I feel like Dwayne Carter could definitely be one of them. So I'm going to go ahead pick him right there. Oh, got him. Yeah, you can't be doing all that now. Trying to seal that bag. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at it. What we got here. Let's see. 143 here. You know what, man? Go ahead and do it. Take Jonah. Pair those Ellis brothers up here. Another mock draft of taking Jonah Ellis, man. But yeah, I like what you could definitely get from him. I do. I'll wrap this one up. All right. Let's see. Where can we go? I do think I'm gonna go ahead and say I do potentially think maybe in the 6th, 7th round, you could potentially see taking a running back being the cards for the Falcons. Right now, obviously, Cordell Patterson left. You have Bijan, you have Tyler Algier, and you have Avery Williams. You don't know how Avery Williams is going to come back. So, could definitely be in the cards to take a running back. And I'm going to go ahead and take Tyron Tracy here. I definitely I mean, you definitely want a guy for depth, but you also want a guy that can maybe make an impact here or there. And I think obviously he won't get too much playing time, but it's definitely going to be someone I think, nonetheless, maybe you are intrigued to work with. For this final pick here, pick 197. I'm going to go ahead and take the Washington kid, Dominic Hampton. So, yeah. As that, now we just wait for the rest of this draft to wrap up. All right. Take a look at how this turned out. So we took Dallas Turner at number 8, Max Melton at 43, Ricky Pearsall at 74, Roger Rosengarten at 79, Dwayne Carter, 109, Sean Ellis at 143, Tyron Tracy Jr., 187, then Dominique Hampton at 197. So, overall, man, this is definitely a scenario I could see that you do ultimately look at doing. I definitely think this could be one of your scenarios you look at and, could definitely end up happening. I think that I definitely think the top needs on that board are edge rusher and corner. I definitely think they're going to want to add some O-line depth. You're going to want to, I feel like you're gonna want to, start laying the groundwork for life after Brady, and maybe that's where you get a guy in the third or fourth round. You're gonna want to add another receiver. You're, probably gonna want. I think you add 2 DBs. So ultimately, this is one of those drafts I could definitely see happening. Now let's go ahead and go back here. And let's do one more, and then I'll, give some final thoughts as we get ready to close this out. As Caleb Williams is going number 1 this time. Vikings straight up for Jane Daniels. All right. So, all right. Anyone watching here, I'm going to do 2 options. I'm not taking Dallas Turner here. Do I take this offer from the Colts and trade back? Do I stay where I am and do what I'm thinking about doing? So someone help me out here. I'm going to give y'all a minute. Someone help me out here, because ultimately I think this is, going to be a point we face that it's, man, they're offering their first and their second. And I'm really tempted, but I also want to run another scenario where, I potentially, go in a different direction just to maybe show you what it could look like to, prepare the people for several different scenarios. But man, when you get an offer like this, it's going to be hard to resist it. However, let's just say here, you decide Terry Fontenot steps in. He decides, you know what? Like Dallas Turner, he's a good kid. However, he's not the best player on our board. He's not, a guy that I, necessarily, am intrigued by. He's definitely good, but there's another kid that is more intriguing to me, and he's fallen into our lap. It's Malik Neighbors. I'm not saying this is what I would do. I'm taking on maybe some of the thinking based on years past. Malik Neighbors is the best player available. You put him with a quarterback like Kirk Cousins and an offense like this, you make it unstoppable. Because then you're going to have Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, Rondell Moore. You're going to have Bijan and Algier. And Bijan, he can do damage out of the backfield. Get him going on a Texas route. Maybe you start doing some wheel routes with Bijan. They take Malik Neighbors. It's not what I would do. Listen, I would take Dallas Turner, but you don't know what they're thinking. You don't. You really don't know what they are thinking here with how they want to approach this thing, how they view this process. Y'all need to understand this, is that they are taking, and they are looking at all these different options. Now, if we do take, you absolutely have to go defense. And I feel like if you do not take an edge rusher in the first round, I do feel like you're going to take one in the second round. And also, if you get an offer like the one we did get from Indianapolis, could be one that I almost accepted that one, because that was, kind of hard to pass up, but I did ultimately. But I look at someone like Braylon Trice. He went to Washington. Jimmy Lake was the head coach there. It's the second-round pick. Braylon Trask out of Washington. Y'all need to understand these relationships matter. Who knows who matters? And when you look at Malik Neighbors, LSU, I mean, Terry's obviously, the GM here. He grew up in Louisiana. So if he has a potential opportunity to take Malik Neighbors, man, I'm telling y'all, it would not be the most shocking thing if that soft spot shows for him, and so, yeah. Michael Penix is still there as well. So even though I really don't see him being there, you don't know. You don't know how this draft's going to fall, man. I say it. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of the guys we have. We have DJ James out of Auburn. So yeah, we also have Renardo. I'm gonna go ahead and take Renardo Green. I think that he's one of those guys, man. I think they could definitely, want to work with. And taking a look at maybe, maybe another DB. Maybe look at some O linemen. You know what? Michael Penix is there. If he is there in the third round, which I seem very unlikely, but this is maybe that scenario. Terry, maybe Terry, he just, something is in that coffee that he drinks, and he just feels like, man, I'm gonna just go nuts, and they ain't gonna know what I'm doing. All right, looking at the fourth round, McKinley Jackson. This is another guy that when you do look at maybe a potential replacement for Grady, another one that I definitely think you could look at and be viable for that spot. So, yeah. All right. Back on the clock here. And maybe you still want some O-line depth. And you definitely maybe, you've obviously taken your wide receiver already. Continuing to look around. You go back. You decide, you know what? Let's go up to Athens. Let's take Tyke Smith. I mean, I definitely think, because if you look at it, we've taken UGA players in the past. We just, we take them later. And as I say, I think they're going to look to add a DB in the second round, and I also think they're going to look to add a DB probably later on in the fifth or sixth round. Even though I didn't in this draft, I did in the other one that I truly honestly think is more so what we actually are going to see. But it's never bad to mix it up from time to time. Man, it's never bad to, just mix a little something up. All right. Back on the clock here. See, let's take a look. Let's see. Maybe Tip Redmond. I mean, you want to talk about competition for Charlie Warner. I definitely think that's one of the guys that could definitely be that. They want competition. That's one of the things I think you're going to see. And then finally, let's see, 6th round. Let's go ahead. Let's take Xavier Thomas. That final pick. Let's see. Oh, I think he got him there. Yeah, he did. All right. Here we go. So we took Malik Neighbors at number 8. Went with that approach we've seen Terry go with in the past. Best player available. Braylon Trice at 43. Renardo Green at 74. Michael Penix was still there. So, you know what? They went. They worked him out. They did all that. If he's there at 79, I think they're going to pick him. McKinley Jackson at 109. Tyke Smith at 143. Tip Redmond 187. Xavier Thomas at 197. So, yeah. Those were the cards that we were dealt with in those 2 mock drafts. I'm not going to do another one, but I am going to go ahead and say this. I feel like, we expect everything on draft night. And this just isn't, for the Falcons. This is in general. Because even though, yes, listen, that first round is what everyone's going to watch. When you look at rounds 2 and 3, yes, they're very much important. However, round 1 is what everyone's coming to watch. That is where, your cream of the crop is. That is where the best of the best in that draft are, the ones that are most likely to succeed. And then obviously your rounds 4 to 7, you definitely hope that one of those days you can get a guy that, is going to be an impact player. But the odds of you, all those picks are not going to hit. But you do hope to get at least one impact player. But you don't know, and obviously, man, 7 rounds. But everyone is watching for that first night, is looking to see, okay, who's going to go where? Who's going to drop? Who's going to be the surprise pick? Caleb Williams is going to go number 1. And it looked like for the longest time, Jaden Daniels was going to go to Washington. However, he might be trying to pull an Eli Manning and do, the whole, I'm not going to go there, because apparently he was upset Washington didn't just interview him. They also brought in guys like J.J. McCarthy, Drake May, and all that, which to me, that kind of be a turnoff. But apparently, Jaden Daniels might not want to go to Washington. So I would probably say the expectation that did shift from Jaden Daniels probably has shifted to Drake May. And then New England, it's maybe you do pick Jaden Daniels. Maybe you don't know. I think Arizona is the first big pivotal point that everyone's going to be watching for. Where is Arizona going to go? Are they going to, that's it, baby. Are they going to stay pat at number 4 and take a guy like Marvin Harrison that could be a dynamic weapon for Kyler Murray? Or Are they going to listen to offers, trade back, pick up a first round, pick up obviously a first round this year, and many more picks, and do a deal with, let's say, a Minnesota, or maybe a Denver or somebody like that? And my guess would honestly be Arizona does trade back. Then the Chargers, I think the Chargers, you can pretty much say, are going to go wide receiver. I think the Giants could go quarterback, but I think at this point, I would probably lean towards more saying the Giants are going to go either a wide receiver or a lineman. And I think Tennessee is going to go with an O-lineman. So then that makes the Falcons another pivotal point in terms of maybe a team. If a Brock Bowers is still on the board, or let's say, someone wants to move up and get a wide receiver, the Falcons could be that team, someone looks to trade with. Or maybe Arizona did take Marvin Harrison. Chargers took a receiver. The Giants did not take a quarterback and took a receiver. Tennessee takes an O-line. Obviously, Atlanta's going to have Minnesota and probably a few other teams knocking on that door looking to make a deal. And I'm going to tell you, Minnesota's 2 first-round picks are very intriguing. They are. Picking up 11, picking up 23, that would very much be intriguing. Because, man, that would be something. But from everything we have heard, and obviously Terry Fontenot is definitely the type of guy that likes to keep things under wraps, you can tell. However, there's also people in Flowery Branch that leak out information every year. At least that's been the way in years past. We got the idea it was going to be Kyle Pitts a few years ago. We got the idea it was going to be Bijan last year. We got the idea in free agency. They targeted Kirk Cousins as their number 1 option. So it feels like to me, everything we've been hearing with it's going to be an edge rusher, I think this is finally the year it's an edge rusher. And I would, right now, if I were to say anyone, I would say Dallas Turner. However, betting odds did just shift to it being Latu. So I think those are probably the 2 guys they're between right now. And as I ultimately say, we're just going to have to wait and see for draft night. That's what it is. We're going to have to wait and see how right we were, how wrong we were, but that's the beauty of this thing is this happens every year. Every year this is the case. But I'm not going to hold people too much longer here. Obviously, you watch on replay, appreciate the support, hit the subscribe button, hit the post notification bell, hit the like button. And with all that being said, I will see you guys probably Wednesday for a full mock draft. And most likely Thursday, will probably not be at the bin. So Thursday night, I will see you all somewhere. Maybe here, maybe on Twitter. If it is Twitter, I will post something, to come check me and Blake Newsome out as we do cover this draft. Anyways, man, this is it. It's draft week, baby. Let's get it, man. And I'll see you guys in the next one.